In this road to glory, my name is Levi Hunt, a senior quarterback for the Port Allen Pelicans, a Louisiana high school juggernaut just across the river from LSU. Standing at 6'3", I've got a cannon for an arm and a fiery passion for the game, and scouts have said that if I can just get my turnovers under control, I could be the best Louisiana high school quarterback since Peyton Manning. But in order to do that, I would have to prove to my teammates that I was capable of leading our team through whatever challenges this season would throw at us. Our week 1 game was against Jefferson High School, one of the worst teams in the state, so my goal coming in was to spread the ball around and build chemistry with every player on our side of the ball. On our first drive, after hitting wide receiver Gio Saria on a post over the middle to get us inside the 10-yard line, on back-to-back plays, I showed I wasn't afraid of a little contact, and on 2nd and goal, I ran through the tackle attempts from the defensive end to give us our first touchdown of the season. I quickly learned that our team was stacked with athletes, first when wide receiver Thea Nguyen completely trucked the linebacker on this slant and turned it into a 28-yard gain, and again when tight end Michael Weisbecker caught this simple dump off to the flat and proceeded to steamroll through the Jefferson defenders to rumble all the way into the end zone. We executed flawlessly on both sides of the ball, and late in the fourth quarter, our kicker Richard Harvey put the ball through the uprights to bring our points to a nice total of 69. I won player of the game, throwing for over 400 yards and accounting for 6 total touchdowns, and we couldn't have asked for a better start to the season. Our week 2 game was against Chalmette, and we immediately picked up right where we had left off. I went a perfect 7 for 7 passing for 72 yards on our first drive, and it was capped off by this easy dot to Gio Saria, who plowed through the cornerback for our first touchdown. On our next drive, I connected with Gio Saria once again, who got wide open on this deep post over the middle, and I was able to hit him in stride for my longest touchdown of the year so far. Never in my life had I felt more dialed in, and in the third quarter, I was able to hit wide receiver Craig Ostrander for my 5th passing touchdown of the game. In the fourth quarter, I was just trying to have fun by scrambling for this 19-yard run, but coach said that's enough of that, and backup quarterback Leon Richard led the offense through the rest of garbage time. My eye-popping stat line of 536 passing yards and 6 passing touchdowns put me on the map with scouts across the country, and after the game, I got my very first scholarship offer from the Texas State Bobcats. After spending that week on top of the world, our week 3 game against Covington caused me to come crashing back down to reality. To start the game, on first down, I took a sack, and on second down, I tried to be a superhero by hurdling the defender, but ended up getting completely slammed into the ground. I wasn't quite seeing straight, and on third down, I tried to hit Michael Weisbecker on the crosser, but ended up throwing it straight to the safety for my first interception of the season. Our second drive didn't go much better, and a miscommunication with Michael Weisbecker resulted in me throwing yet another interception. On our next drive, I took another sack on first down, and it seemed like my teammates were beginning to wonder if maybe we needed to bring the backup in, but I got us back in gear with back-to-back completions to Thea Nguyen to get us to the edge of the red zone. A dump off to Gio Saria in the flat got us inside the 5, and on 3rd and goal, I was able to find running back Alex Howell, who finally got us on the scoreboard. The entire game was a struggle, and while I did find Thea Nguyen late in the first half to give us a 2-score lead, we never really pulled away. In the fourth quarter, with our team up 17-3, I made the worst pass of my career when I threw it straight to the linebacker for my 3rd interception of the game. Fortunately, our defense came up clutch and we were able to run out the remaining time, but I knew I would have to play better if I wanted to lead our team to a championship. In week 4, we took on Mimosa Park, and I was determined to bounce back after my awful last game. I started off completely locked in, connecting with Gio Saria for a 14-yard gain, followed by a dot to Chris Ostrander for a 16-yard gain, but after taking a sack on 1st and 10, I went back to my old bad habits. On 2nd down, I tried to force the ball into an extremely tight window, and it resulted in my 4th interception in the last 2 games. I wasn't going to let it bring me down though, and on our next drive, drive, I was able to find Chris Ostrander on a streak to get us inside the 5-yard line, and that set up an easy Alex Howell touchdown. That gave me the confidence to completely lock in, and on our next drive, I showed my teammates that I was all in. First by throwing off a sack attempt and scrambling outside to find Gio Saria on the 1-yard line, and then on the very next play by keeping it myself and hurtling into the end zone to give our team the lead. We never looked back, and the game ended up being an absolute rout as I finished with 362 passing yards and 5 total touchdowns. Now in week 5, we had our biggest challenge of the year as we took on Pineville, one of the best teams in the state. I started off the game with a beautiful strike to Thea Nguyen for a 21-yard gain, but that's when things went sideways really fast. I ate some big sacks on the next 2 plays, and then on 3rd and 24, feeling like I was seeing ghosts out there, I made an awful throw into coverage that resulted in an interception and a quick Pineville touchdown. Down 14-0 in the second quarter and feeling the pressure to score, I once again threw an unnecessarily risky ball, which got intercepted again, and before we knew it, we were down 21-0. Needing to score before halftime, Alex Howell got us back on track with this 28-yard catch on the angle route over the middle, and a few plays later, I was able to hit an unguarded Gio Saria up the seam to keep us in the game. In the third quarter, I found Gio Saria again, this time up the middle on a post to get us down near the goal line, but on the very next play, I got hit while trying to scramble and coughed up the ball, leading to another Pineville touchdown. We showed we weren't done yet though when I hit Thea Nguyen on this fade and he ran through the safety for a 48-yard touchdown. In the fourth quarter, I was able to take it myself for a 2-yard touchdown run and make it a 1-score game, and then with a minute 20 left, I found Chris Hussein for a 9-yard touchdown to bring us within 3 points. Our defense got us the ball back, and with no timeouts, we had to go 60 yards to get into field goal range for our true freshman kicker. I was able to connect with Gio Saria on back-to-back plays and then hit Thea Nguyen on a slant, but since he failed to get out of bounds, we had to quickly get to the line while the clock was temporarily stopped for our one final play. Thea Nguyen got single coverage on the outside, and I threw it to his back shoulder to give him a chance, but the ball bounced off his hands and fell incomplete. Our team was devastated, and I knew my turnovers were the primary reason for the loss, and it put a massive damper on the big news that following the game, I had received scholarship offers from Michigan, Texas, and Texas Tech. The good news for us is that in weeks 6 through 9, our schedule got a lot easier. In week 6, we took on Red Shoot, and I showed off how dangerous I can be with my legs when I scrambled outside for this 42-yard rush, which was the longest of my career. I finished the game with 117 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, and with my emergence as a dual threat quarterback, I got my best scholarship offers yet from LSU, Alabama, and TCU. In week 7, we faced bottom feeder Gray High School, and the highlight of the game was this absolute bomb that I threw to Gio Saria after he completely torched the safety and hauled in the catch for a monster 63-yard touchdown. After yet another monster performance, our team was now considered the team to beat in the state playoffs, which were just around the corner. In week 8, we won easily against a highly overrated Sulphur High School, and in week 9, we faced an extremely outmatched Metter High School who didn't score a single point. With how well we were playing to close out the regular season, our whole team was confident that we were ready to make some noise in the playoffs. In the first round of the playoffs, we were at home taking on undefeated Donaldsonville, who had arguably the best defense in the entire state. On the very first play of the game, I completely misread the linebacker, and I threw it right to him for the easiest interception of his life. We had to stay focused though, and on the next drive, I hit Craig Ostrander on this curl for 13 yards, and 2 plays later, I hit Gio Saria over the middle to get us inside the 5-yard line, which set up an Alex Howell touchdown run. With a little over 2 minutes left in the first half, we struck again when I hit Thea Nguyen on this corner route, and 2 plays later, I ran it in myself to give us a 14-13 lead. After going back down by 2 points, at the end of the third quarter, I was able to hit Michael Weisbecker on this ridiculous diving catch to get us down to the 11-yard line, and freshman kicker Richard Harvey was able to knock it through the uprights to once again give us the lead. In the fourth quarter, I knew it was my chance to take this game over over, and on 1st and 10, I scrambled outside, juked out a defensive back, and rumbled ahead for a huge 25-yard gain. But a couple plays later, disaster struck when I took a sack to bring us out of field goal range, and then I nearly threw a pick on 3rd down, meaning we had to punt the ball back to Donaldsonville. Their quarterback led them on an impressive drive down the field, and with a little over a minute left, they went up 22-17, meaning our playoff hopes now rested squarely on my shoulders. I started off the drive strong with this 20-yard strike to Thea Nguyen, and then was able to connect with Felix Rivero, who made a beautiful diving catch on this crosser. On the next play, I scrambled outside for a 13-yard gain to get us to the 27-yard line, and 2 plays later, I hit Thea Nguyen again to get us down to the 15. Knowing we were running out of time, I put the team on my back when I scrambled outside again and sprinted with all my might to get into the end zone for the go-ahead touchdown with just 19 seconds left. Our defense held on, and despite the scare, we had survived Donaldsonville and were on to the next round of the playoffs. Unlike the last game, our playoff quarterfinal against Faraday was an absolute cakewalk. Thea Nguyen set the tone early by hauling in this curl route and then breezing past the safety for a 29-yard gain, and a couple plays later, Alex Howell punched in the touchdown to get the blowout started. On the next drive, Craig Ostrander said, "Watch this," and after hauling in the curl, he bounced off not one, but 2 Faraday defenders and ran it in for our second touchdown of the quarter. Basically, every play we ran worked to perfection, and we ended up winning 42-6 to put us just 2 wins away from being state champions. In our playoff semifinal game against Gretna, we got off to a slow start, but late in the first half, I connected with Thea Nguyen on this 30-yard touchdown pass, and after that, we never looked back. With a 21-0 lead in the 3rd quarter, I stood tall in the pocket and threw an absolute laser to Craig Ostrander on the post for the 27-yard touchdown, and at that point, we knew that we were headed to the state championship game. For the state championship, we traveled to New Orleans for a rematch against Mimosa Park that took place in the Tulane University Stadium. On our first drive, Mimosa Park showed that they came to play when their pass rush completely overpowered our O-line, and the hit I took caused me to put the ball on the ground, and they returned it all the way for a touchdown. Wanting to quickly get on the scoreboard, on the next drive, I tried to do too much when I way underthrew this pass on the run, and just like that, I had turned the ball over twice in the first minute of the game. Fortunately, our defense got us the ball back, and on the next drive, I began to settle in, first by hitting Gio Saria on this 31-yard gain over the middle, and then later in the drive on 3rd and goal, I was able to find Alex Howell, who fought with all his might to get across the goal line and tie the game at 7-7. On the next drive, we found ourselves in a 4th and 15, and on one of the most important plays of the game, I was able to find an open Craig Ostrander to get us down to the 2-yard line, which set up another Alex Howell touchdown. With a 10-point lead in the 3rd quarter, we were looking to add an insurance score when on 2nd and 5 from the 11, the D-line parted like the Red Sea, and I took off up the middle and galloped my way into the end zone to put our team up big. After Mimosa Park answered with a touchdown of their own, we needed just one more touchdown to put the game away, and on the most important drive of the season, we executed to perfection. I got us across midfield with a 22-yard scramble to the outside, and then connected with Craig Ostrander to get us into the red zone. A few plays later, I hit Gio Saria over the middle for a touchdown, and that officially put the game away. As the clock hit 0, I embraced my teammates, overcome with emotion that we had actually achieved what we set out to do. I didn't have too much time for celebration though, because my phone was ringing off the hook with scholarship offers from the biggest programs in the country. The only question now was, where should I go?